people can no longer deny and can no longer erase the contributions, the significance, and the historical importance of transgender people in this world. Queerness is love, queerness is liberation, and it is deeply holy and can feel absolutely transcendent.
I am Grizabella. Like, this is me. This is my life story.
Hey fam, it's me, Amara. Welcome to the Trans Lives Podcast, a show where we tell trans stories to save trans lives. Well, I'm super excited about today's show because I personally loved Cats, the Jellicle Ball. It's the revival of Andrew Lloy'd Webber's classic musical that's currently on Broadway, but it reimagines it as a drag ball. Now, being ballroom, the cast and crew of Cats is very Black, brown, queer, and very trans. And it comes at a time when these communities are under attack. But despite that, it just cleaned up at the Tony Awards. So we had to know how they pulled it off and what it feels like to be part of history. First up, we'll hear from Qween Jean, the show's costume designer who just became the first trans woman to win a Tony. Then we're speaking with Tempress Chasity Moore, who stars as the iconic character Grizabella. I'm so thrilled to be joined today by the one, the only Qween Jean. Qween won the 2026 Tony for costume design for her work on Cats, the Jellicle Ball, which also won 2 other Tonys. She was also nominated for another Tony for her work on the play Liberation. Qween is a co-founder of the Black Trans Liberation Kitchen, which serves free weekly meals to trans New Yorkers. Black Trans Liberation Kitchen came out of the weekly Stonewall protest marches that she organized starting in June of 2020. Qween, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Amara.
So great to have you on again.
Good. Yes.
Before it was to talk about all of your work in terms of activism and working for Black Trans Liberation. And now this is like your day job. This is your creativity. This is actually like what pays your bills and what feeds your joy in a different way than like being with community and people. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It feels so beautiful and magical. Thank you for having me back. I'm so honored.
Well, before we get into kind of the deeper part of the conversation, I asked you where the Tony is because I've been at like a couple of events with you, most recently at our mayor's like LGBTQ Pride celebration, where you actually literally
just
carted it around.
In my purse. That's right.
You just like carted around your Tony.
I've been taking it everywhere, but today it was raining, so I was like, okay, you know what? Let me not risk it. But no, I just take it with me everywhere. I go to the bodega. It's right there.
Do you know what's so funny is that also like from you, I learned a thing about the Tony that I didn't know, which is that little round thing in the middle moves because you spin it.
Oh, look, I have just been fidgeting and finding all ways to embrace it and to share with the community. I mean, it's for all of us, to be honest. Like, this win has been such a victory for trans folks, queer folks, thinking about the legacy of New York City Ballroom, the legacy of New York City queer liberation. And so it really feels like our ancestors are shining on us. And so it's really beautiful. I mean, I took it to kitchen last week and I mean, we were eating and just like rejoicing. We have a Tony now.
And the way in which you frame it as a part of community is so beautiful, and it really comes out of your spirit and just the joy that you have. Like the fact that you carted around is like so joyful.
Yes.
You know?
I mean, to be honest, it's this community has been continues to be an inspiration for me in my personal life. And knowing that to be able to receive this acknowledgement on a production that we've poured our whole lives into, our hearts. The legacy of queer people, our leaders are all woven into this incredible tapestry at Cats, the Jellicle Ball. And so to be, for the community, for it to be so unanimous that this production has elevated fashion and textiles and the ways that we see performers moving in space and time, and even on a Broadway stage, for me has been such a tremendous gift. And as an artist, it just feels in such alignment that the work that I do off stage, we're bringing that energy and that same vigor to a bigger stage, a worldwide stage, where people can no longer deny and can no longer erase the contributions, the significance, and the historical importance of transgender people in this world.
One of the things that's underappreciated about ballroom is actually its contributions to fashion.
That's right.
And I'm wondering what were some of the touch points for you as you were designing this, where you were looking at ball fashion and figuring out how to incorporate it and bring it to Broadway. And we know that there are certain designers who've touched upon it, like Christian Serrano and other people who, like community and ball, have inspired fashion. And that's not something that we often hear about. We often hear about how fashion inspired ballroom, but there was also this other part of the feedback loop.
Absolutely. I have always been enamored and intrigued as a young queer kid by ballroom, by the revolution that was Studio 54, the revolution that was the Harlem Cotton Club, or even the Elks Lodge. And these sacred places became sanctuary for the queer community, for queer culture, for language, for the development of fashion and textile, of textures and silhouettes and things as we now know. And knowing that a lot of the designers, even in that era, in the 70s and 80s, a lot of them were Black, were queer, were even Haitian. Fabrice, an incredible Haitian designer. And so as a artist, a young person, even reflecting and actually surveying the entire landscape of who we are, there's without a doubt, we've inspired culture. And more specifically, thinking about artists as well, that I felt had to be included, or their artistry had to be woven into cats of Jellicle Ball, Jean-Michel Basquiat, Keith Haring, and a lot of when we think about textile artists, and so Willie Smith, and so for me, it's been a way to say thank you to these pioneers and these trailblazers that were just being themselves. And how radical that was in 1979. And they were more focused on actually creating a sanctuary for other people, for themselves, to have respite, to have peace and joy amongst a backdrop of pain, of horror, and without a doubt, the HIV/AIDS crisis that became a huge, that impacted the community so greatly. And for me, that was my way in to learning about all of these incredible humans that were so proud, beyond courageous, beyond innovative, and resilient, and created paradise and created a way to feel free. And as a trans person in 2026, I desire that freedom each and every day. And I feel proud that we're creating a space at the Broadhurst Theater that not only exemplifies, but that personifies freedom, liberation, and more specifically, that queerness is love, queerness is liberation, and it is deeply holy and can feel absolutely transcendent. There are people that have walked out of that theater and felt like what I can closely that's in proximity to this is that I've had a religious experience. And to me, what that means is that you've been able to surrender and to completely be immersed and the joy that surrounds you. And within that joy, there's no homophobia, there's no transphobia, there's no hatred for thy neighbor. We're rooting for everyone in that space, and being completely dazzled by stories of resilience.
That's what it feels like when you're in Jellicle Ball. It does feel like you are walking into an alternative. Like it's like you walk through a portal of a different country, of a different space. Like it feels, when you go into it, it feels different. When you come out of it, you feel like you've gone back into a place that's different. One of the things that's, all of the things that you're talking about speak to the breadth of your knowledge, your research, And this is a thing that we don't talk enough about, is actually the importance of craft, right? The importance of actually getting good at what you are doing, right? To the point where its excellence speaks for itself, right? Like, everyone thinks that like, well, I can just, if I hear one more person be like, well, I just have to look at a series of YouTube videos and I'll know how to do this. And I'm like, right. So I don't think that you just looked at a series of YouTube videos. So can you just talk a little bit about like your devotion to craft? Because the fact that you even named all these different inspirations means that you've studied them, right? You know what they are contributing. You work hard to translate it.
Thank you so much. The craft is sacred, and the craft for me has been my way towards discovery, towards expression, self-actualization, especially being a young trans person. I mean, I grew up and never felt comfortable or that I belonged in any one direction, any one area, one community. And so I ultimately immersed myself in books and literature, thinking more specifically around history. One of my first memories was at picking up the Andy Warhol Polaroid series. And in that book, I saw for the very first time a Black trans person or someone that felt like me. And they were in this beautiful blonde updo. And I just felt connected. I was like, okay, I don't know what is this, but I got to get to New York City. There are people that that look like me there. Or I felt myself, I felt so connected to this revolutionary thing that was occurring in the 80s. And I then continued that deep work into figuring out fabrication. I love clothes as much as I love my freedom. So that has also been, again, literally part of my transition, is being able to honor myself and to know that I don't have to be restricted by what was assigned at birth. And also that no one has to be restricted by that. Fashion truly is armor. It can be. And for me, leaping that work into a costume design, being able to create armor for characters, it is truly architecture for the imagination. And that has allowed me skill to know how to dress people and to celebrate people's bodies. I spent many years as a draper. I worked a lot of regional gigs as well as being a shop manager. So for me, the craft of literally understanding how a garment was made, and a lot of my first instructors would be like, look, take this thing apart and then put it back together. You'll know how to sew. Okay. And, and so I was working on like tailcoats, costumes from opera houses. There was incredible, there's still a place, like in Canada, Malabar Costumes, they had incredible stock of beautiful treasures. Barbara Matera's was another costume shop here in the city that closed, but they were making incredibly fine crafted couture garments for the stage. Korenska costumes, ballet costumes that were being beaded and made by hand. And so I completely got immersed and lost in that skill and that world. And to me, it was so powerful and beautiful. And there was strength in what was being created and crafted. And so I wanted to cultivate that for myself. And it took some time, but I found my power. I found that I could create armor for myself that allowed me to feel unstoppable in the world. In New York City, on a subway, in a boardroom, at the bodega, wherever I may be, I'm in control. I remember the first ball that I went to was on 38th Street at Escuelitas. And baby, my eyes opened, my heart opened. I had not seen that many showgirls, queerness, Black and brown queerness in such a celebration and I was like transfixed. I kept going to more events. I would go to El Morocco, which was on like 145th, I believe. Club XL. There was the Kiki Vogue nights on Thursdays. Copacabana, which also is now closed on 46th Street. There was a Thanksgiving ball there. And that's where I first met and saw Laomi, the Wonder Woman, Vogue and Battle. And I was like, oh my God. And so ballroom has truly been an integral part of my upbringing, but also has unlocked so much power and imagination for myself. Seeing these other like trans women, trans masculine folks, and gender nonconforming people that had created their own utopia. And I was like, okay, well, how can we create that for ourselves? How can for myself? And so that that drive and that opportunity has now manifested into Qween Jean. and I will also say to, I mean, really into Tony Award winning because the craft was good. I mean, this allowed me to carry my artistry to pursue a master's degree at NYU Tisch School of the Arts. My first interview at NYU, I was so like green. I wore a suit, y'all, a bow tie, a whole like, I was trying to really, to impress these incredible, prestigious institution that my work was worthy to be there. And I came with like costumes, dresses that I had made, sketches, portfolios of drawings and things, because I really wanted them to know how much I needed this. I needed to leave the South, and I needed to like find a place where I could really begin to find my voice. And they said yes on the spot.
What opportunity was that?
A Fulbright scholarship to pursue my dreams.
Oh my God.
To pursue my work, yeah. And it felt like I was living a dream. And I left there and went back South. And I'll be honest, I kind of was afraid to tell people because I didn't want people to like...
What were you afraid to tell people?
I'll be honest. I felt like I had to prove to myself maybe and to them that I could do it. And that I didn't need to hide anymore.
So you got the scholarship, you went back home, and you didn't tell anybody.
I didn't tell anybody.
What'd you do? They just went to your room one day and it was empty?
No, I just went back. I just went back to I went back to life. I was in Tuscaloosa, Alabama at that time.
That's a different life.
It was a different life. But and at the time, I mean, I was experiencing, I'll be very honest, I was experiencing at the place I was working at, just a lot of strife and not feling welcomed there.
And so then you left. What'd you do? You just walked in and quit one day, or you just left?
I left. I got a U-Haul.
Did you drive it?
I drove. Oh my God, I don't even know if she's gonna. But at the time, my sibling Ray in Alabama, Ray Webber, helped me to pack up my storage unit.
And y'all were driving on the highway.
Well, they got me to the end of the Alabama line.
Okay,
good luck. And then I drove. And then I drove the rest of the way
by yourself.
By myself.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
And let me tell you something. Okay, for folks, this was the time I think of like MapQuest. I didn't have like a smartphone.
So you had to. So you
MapQuest. So I printed out my.
So the stack of papers in your was like this high because you had to get from Tuscaloosa to New York.
All the way to Brooklyn, New York. Okay. And so that was the key. I didn't have a smartphone. I mean, I don't even know. Yeah. So a key, and then but I kept meeting people along the way. And who were like, I felt like in a way that the ancestors and God was like helping me guide. Like there were moments where I didn't have any gas money. I pulled to a gas station. Hey, I can help you. Like it was like, I was like, okay, magic. It felt like I was being guided on this journey. But I had to take that first step. And I just really trusted that whatever happened, I was gonna figure it out.
So tell us about like how you went about. Because one of the things that's hard, right? I mean, like actors have to learn their lines and they have to learn their marks. Yeah. But you have to learn their characters, the essence of their characters, right, in order to be able to present them right. So like costume designing isn't only like make a costume for a cat and then you sketch it out and you hand it. Like you have to know everything about the character, what the play is about. Like you are a part of the creative team. How did you go about like bringing all of the things that you spoke about into the visioning of a world of Black ball cats?
This question really is epic. And I think it's epic because it speaks to the process.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that, for a lot of costume designers, our work is deeply dramaturgically rooted. And so for me as an artist, I start with the text or the score even. And so really, I spent a lot of time breaking down that script and in order to...
Like the actors.
Like the actors, absolutely. So that we are speaking the same language, but also so that way I can use what my artistry, my costume designs as a tool to help narrate us through the story. Visually, we're guiding an audience, we're guiding and we're weaving through the elements of the story together, scene by scene by scene. And in Cat's Jellicle Ball, by each ball category, until we meet Deuteronomy. And then, honey, it explodes, right, for the Jellicle Ball at the end of Act 1. And so it was for me, it just felt like, what are folks, magnum opus? Is that the word?
Yes. Big work, basically. Big work. That's what it translates into. Big work. For some people, like when they get an awards, like a Tony, it's either they're like, that's the capstone, and then they're done. And they're like, okay, that was cute. That was that part of my life. And now I'm going on to something else. I mean, you also happen to be winning a Tony at a very early stage in your life. It's not like you're 80 and you just did your last play, you got your Tony, and then you would be like, girl, I'll see y'all at the beach. So like as a capstone, but in other ways, it can serve as like inspiration. Like it can take you to the idea that like there's so much more to do and that you can reach higher heights. Where are you in terms of like what the Tony means for you?
The Tony Award really serves as a confirmation of God's love. And for me, what I'm doing feels undeniably sacred. To be able to collaborate with an artist, with storytellers, and to have such a powerful, vulnerable exchange. People are like surrendering their bodies to this process. Their ideas and our ideas are overlapping, and we're creating something truly unique and special. Identifying what makes a character, what are the signifiers of a design that fully describe and illustrate a visual harmony. And for us in Cat's Jellicle Ball, that was creating a community. And something that our incredible directors, Bill Rausch and Jalen Livingston, were adamant about is that this is a celebration of humanity. We are seeing all walks of life, people that may not have always had an opportunity to shine, are doing it. We've galvanized to honor icons in our community. I think about Junior LaBeija, the voice and the powerhouse behind the Paris is Burning documentary by Jenny Livingston. I also think about Andre DeShields, a Broadway titan who's given their entire life to artistry and to creating space for Black people, Black and brown queer folks. Tempress Chasity Moore, an icon and beauty, undeniable beauty in our world, in our community.
Also in this podcast, yeah.
Also in this podcast, and love you, Tempress. And, the also icon Ken Ard, who starred and was the original McCavity in the 1982 Cats production and is now DJ Griddlebone. And so commanding and returning back to the story, back to the stage in such a formidable and undeniable feline power. And of course, the Wonder Woman herself, Laomi. She's someone that I have always seen as like this, maybe, I don't know if anomaly is right, but that she was able to tell her story to the world. And she's been so committed to making sure and ensuring that our trans stories, our voices, our cultures are shared, are uplifted, amplified, are right there center. Our humanity will never be discarded. It's not going to be sidelined. It won't be commodified for someone else's consumption. It is for us to be able to reveal our power, our strength, and our connection to the past and to the present. And undeniably that we will exist in the future. There will be young queer people, young trans people that will be looking and knowing that there are people that refuse to hide. Our ancestors didn't hide in 1969. They didn't hide in 1809. They did not hide who they were. And so in this moment, I think about all of the egregious legislation, the divisive rhetoric, and the hatred that is being spewed to dehumanize an entire group of people. It is horrendous, and it is going to be the inciting incident for a real revolution. I said something at the CLAGS graduate CUNY
it's the gay
ceremony.
students organization.
Yes. And
CUNY
I
in
was
New York
honored
City.
this year as the Javier Munoz Award. And I shared with them, it's like, well, at what point will we have enough? At what point will we rise up? Are we going to just allow for trans people to all be cut off from society? Will we rise up when there's a trans and a straight water fountain? Are we going to rise up when people are being carted off into a camp, into detention centers? At what point are we going to say enough is enough, and that we cannot allow humanity to be destroyed because people are afraid to support and to love and to protect their neighbors? And for me, that's something that I will continuously fight for, is the love of humanity. And that's what this production is at the tipping point of that. That on a Broadway performing arena, we're seeing Black joy. We're seeing expression. We're seeing creativity at its highest caliber, innovation. We're seeing fashion. We're seeing movement. We're seeing music that is unbound. And we're seeing communities heal, families heal in real time. That to me is something I will forever be grateful for. That we said yes, and that we were unafraid to do it, and to do it our way. We were not going to code switch. No, this is how we are. We show up, femme queens on the scene. And that for me will be what I'm grateful for the most. And that we celebrated our people along the way and gave them their flowers.
Well, I can't think of any better place to end this beautiful conversation than thinking about you rising up with the Tony in your hand. Thank you so much for coming in and for all of your many, many contributions.
Thank you.
I am sure that in the future there will be another, as you said, another trans kid who drives a U-Haul from Alabama to New York City by themselves.
Let's go. Let's do it.
It's possible. We know that it's possible now.
Absolutely. It is.
All the congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And can't wait to see what else you're going to do and be and provide and shine.
Thank you so much, Mara. Yeah. And I just want to just uplift the people in my life that have supported me throughout this journey, because it has been a nonstop. I just want to uplift Jessica Crawford, who's an incredible artist that has helped us on this process. Thinking too about our incredible production angels that literally were lifting and carrying the elements of the production throughout the entire few months. I love you, Dan Follett. Thank you to Zava for all your support. Arnold, Mello, thank you all for being such a support system for me throughout this process. And of course, there's an entire wardrobe team of like gifted, talented, beautiful human beings that allow and sustain this work on stage. There's 500 costumes back there, and it all has been uniquely prepared and is sustained. I'm very grateful for them. And of course, my family at Black Transliberation, I do this for them. They've inspired everything that I do. So I'm very proud that we got to tell our stories and to do it our way and to prove to the world that, believe me, if we had more resources, more space, we'd be able to achieve even more. And we will.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Tony Award winner Qween Jean. Now, we're about to start our second conversation, but I just wanted to say, no, your eyes aren't fooling you. We've had a bit of a change of a scene. We recorded this interview in a different studio. As I said, we're still playing around with studio space and how we're presenting this to you, so just don't mind the switch up. I'm so glad to be joined today by Tempress Chasity Moore. Tempress is a ballroom icon and Hall of Famer. She is currently starring as Grizabella in the hit Broadway musical Cats, the Jellicle Ball. Tempress, thank you so much for being here today. So appreciative of you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And we love your t-shirt Blessed because everything that is flowing your way now is definitely a sign of that. So yeah, happy to see you in that and happy for everything that you and the rest of the team at Cats Jellicle Ball are receiving right now. This is a feel-good moment for all of us.
Absolutely. I'm filled with so much gratitude. It is just blessing after blessing.
Can you talk to us about Tempress and how you got that name? Because it's so essential to your story and what you're doing now. Where did that name come from and how'd you get it?
You know, my chosen father, Alalor, actually named me Tempress. Like, Tempress was born in ballroom. Because back in the day, like, you know, when I transitioned, a lot of trans women were living stealth. And so I didn't want my names, like Tempress was my ballroom name. And that was so that when I met people in society and I said Chastity, there was no way to reference Tempress, which is a funny story. But you know, like, it's true. That's the truth behind it all. Like, and and there was a girl before me. There was a girl before me in ballroom who was a brown-skinned beauty who was Octavia's sister. And her name was Tempress. And so we did a play on that. And so, yeah, and that's where Tempress came from.
And when you refer to Octavia, you mean Octavia Saint Laurent?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. The very famous Octavia Saint Laurent. What was the dream for yourself that you had while you were growing up? Like inside of yourself, because, you know, inside of every single trans person, no matter how you're raised gender-wise, like is the actual little person of our actual gender. So what did the little girl in you dream of becoming when she got older?
You couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be a singer or an actress. I was the only child. I created so many characters. I grew up singing in church. And I felt like I couldn't do anything else. Like, I felt like, you know, that singing was my saving grace. And like, you know, I loved music when I was younger. And I felt that it made me special. Especially pre-transition. Like, I had such a high voice singing. And I felt like that was like special thing about me. And so I always just felt like I was going to be a singer. And later on, I would say like in elementary school when I started doing like plays, and I started doing them both together. And once I went to go see Mama, I Want to Sing, my grandmother took me to go see that, and it was a musical. I was like, this is what I want to do. And I came home and I kept singing Mama, I Want to Sing. And I would be acting it out all the time and stuff. And so I just knew when I grew up, I was like, I'm going to be a singer and an actress.
A natural born performer is what it sounds like. And so, like, how does it feel to now actually be what you imagined? Like, there's so many things that you've had to go through and become in order to get here. But, like, have you thought about how you are, right now, how you always imagined yourself?
I always knew that this day would come. I just didn't know when it would come. It was a manifestation. Like, I planned it all, and it's just the universe and God was working with me, and everything just started happening as the plan. Like, as I wrote things down and was checking them off, it started happening. So walking into this, I just feel like I'm walking in a cloud nine every day. Like, I just feel like I'm just walking, I don't know, in space or something, because I'm just so, like I said, I'm filled with gratitude. I'm just so excited. The child in me is like, you're back, because I hadn't been on stage in like 20 years.
Wow.
Like, I hadn't, I was doing it in college. Like, I left college to travel with Tyler Perry and do that play. And then I got sidetracked with life. And so to be back to where I wanted to be, I am honored. Like, it's grueling, the Broadway schedule, but I'm still having fun because it's something that I wanted, and it's something that I can continue to add to. And also, not only am I doing that, but I'm walking in my purpose with it. There's a purpose behind it all. So I'm very appreciative, and I'm excited and happy every day of my life.
What is the purpose behind it for you?
First of all, people would like prophesy to be like in the weirdest places, and even psychics on the street. There were people who always like told me that there was something bigger than me, and that entertainment was calling me, and that thousands of people needed to hear from me. And I feel like doing this, when I go outside and I'm meeting people who have felt othered, and I'm meeting people from the trans community and queer community who are telling me that they're inspired by me to do more with their life, and it just gives them this hope and this, it's a possibility model. And I feel like that's what my purpose is. I'm now bringing light to ballroom and to what my ancestors had gone through prior, and it just gives hope. Like, I remember being a child, and I didn't have too many, role models, because the girls were stealth back then. So the ones that were doing things, you didn't really know who they were. So now that you can see people, and I'm not diverse, there's girls who came before me who inspired me, but just to be added to that conversation of possibility model, and other people seeing in you what you love about yourself, that now they feel like they can love about themselves. I'm just excited to do that.
When you first transitioned, you basically had to live and be stealth, if for no other reason than safety, right? The ability to be able to, remain safe in your life, in your day-to-day, to get jobs, all of the things. What is it like for you to be in a period now where that's more optional for people, not exclusively optional, and, there's lots of politics at play, but like, what is it like for you to witness now the range of trans expressions that are possible in this moment?
Like Grizabella says, a new day has begun. But, it felt amazing for a time, for a few years back, it started to feel amazing, but it just feels like we're going backwards. And now it just feels kind of bold, like to actually, be outside is like a form of activism, because, the way that they're trying to villainize, trans people at this time is kind of horrible. But outside of that, I love the fact of being able to live in my truth, because I have sisters who still battle with that. And I feel like it stifles your growth. I feel like every time that the more transparent I am about things, the more opportunities come my way. And I tell people that all the time, because I remember years ago, I never would say that I was trans. Like, I was like, what? No, that's not what we were taught, or whatever. But I remember the day that I finally said it, like I was on the internet and I was like, I just was like, yes, and I'm trans and so and so, and it just felt like I just relieved. I just let, it was relief. It was like, I can be me. I can go after what I want. And I don't regret my past, but I know that there's were times that I had opportunities come my way. And because I was living stuff, I ran from them. And who knows where I would be now. There was things that definitely, because I was still living stuff and because I didn't want to be transparent, there were opportunities that were missed.
How did you find out about the role of Grizabella? Like you said that, as you said, you were not on stage for 20 years. So then how did this come about? Did you get a call? Did someone urge you to go out for the role? Like, how did this happen?
I was getting all of these, the good thing about social media and the good thing about me, like I said, once I started saying I was trans, and then I started posting videos of me singing from time to time. I was getting all these tags one day, and I finally seen what the topic was, and it was that they were looking for a trans woman who could sing, and preferably from ballroom. And Amari, who is the choreographer, who is another icon from ballroom, he reached out to me. He's like, everyone's tagging saying that you can sing. Can you really sing? And so I did I recorded myself singing and I sent it to him. And he was like, oh, you can really sing. He's like, you need to go for the lead. He's like, I'm going to suggest you for the lead. And he did. And he sent it to them and they were interested and they had me come to the workshop and I did the first workshop and then they called me in to audition. And after I auditioned, that was all she wrote.
And I think, did Amari win a Tony? Didn't they win a Tony for choreography as well? Is that right? Am I remembering that right?
They did. They did. Amari and Arturo, shout out to them and congratulations to them. That's so amazing.
When you found out that you got the role and you went to your first rehearsal as the lead, what did that feel like?
The very first thing was the workshop. Listen, I was a scared kid and I would make myself literally sick in rehearsal the days that I had to sing. Like, I'm a bubbly individual. I come in, I'm so happy. The days that I had to sing, I would be over the corner and I'd talk to everybody. Like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. But literally I'm in my head like, oh my God, are these people going to like me? I come from ballroom, which is a competitive space, where people are like, they're the toughest crowd. So I'm coming with these people who have all this musical background. I haven't been on stage in forever. So it was so scary. So that was scary. The workshop was scary. But once that dream had came true, I started to dream bigger. And so the more and more closer I got to the stage, the more and more confidence I was getting. And not only that, I started taking lessons behind the scenes. Like, I had to prepare. I was not going to let this opportunity pass me by. In my audition, I broke down crying. Like, in the midst of the song, I broke down crying. And Jalen is like, stop right there. What is that? What is that? What is that right there? And I'm like, I am Grizabella. I'm like, this is me. This is my life story. She's coming back to something. Like, I was coming back to the stage, to theater. Like, it was just me. I was carrying that. I was that trans woman who had to survive. I had to do things to survive that I once regretted that now makes sense. And so when I got the part, I was like, I'm going to carry this part. I'm going to tell this story. And I felt like it was meant for me. I was like, the universe, it was meant for me. Like, even when I questioned myself and I had others like, if not you, then who? And so it was an amazing feeling for me. I'm still amazed by it and I'm still so excited by it.
What for you is the most important thing about your character? Because in Jellicle Ball, she's kind of almost a ghost, right? For much of the play where she makes an appearance and then she's gone and we literally catch a glimpse of her and then she's gone. And then towards the end, you know, she makes this spectacular kind of entrance and like you see her fulfilled and you understand why she was presented like that in the first part of the musical, but then who she really is and her flowering and her unfolding. I'm wondering, for you, what stands out to you about her as you play her every night?
I think it's the redemption story, the redemption part of it, because a lot of us carry, well, I won't say us, but a lot of people, and I know even me coming from ballroom, there was this false self of like you had to revere yourself if you wasn't getting the reverence from other people. And so sometimes there's a false confidence over superficial things, and she was holding on to these superficial things that was giving her this confidence that she needed. And that's the same thing that was happening to many girls from the scene. You know, they were praising us for these superficial things, and once those things start fading, then you're not getting the flowers that you deserve. And then finally at the end, she gets that confidence back. She gets the win that she really needs. And I feel like that's going to be the story of society. Like, we're going through those same things with the rejection and, you know, people villainizing us and things. And I think it's a mirror of society. She gets her redemption story, and I think that we all will.
I mean, as a person who's steeped in ballroom, like you are an icon in ballroom and have known other icons in ballroom and understand the actual roots of ballroom, what it means, what it did for people, the space that it provided, the money that it provided sometimes for people to like pay rent and like other critical things. And now for ballroom to not only be on Broadway, but to be on Broadway in a play where the legendary creator of it is 100% behind. The fact that it has been nominated for multiple awards, including Tonys, and now garnered them. The fact that the audience is packed with stars. Whoopi Goldberg, just a full range of people every night. You're taking different snapshots with these people who want to take pictures with you. So now this ballroom is now capital C culture. Like, it is big official culture in New York and around the world. What is that like for you? Like, what's your impression of that?
It's crazy because we never expected that. Like, you know, ballroom was our underground Hollywood. So now that it's mainstream, I just hope that it's not I just hope that, you know, sometimes, you know, people are so excited about something and then it's left to the wayside. And so I hope that that's not the case with ballroom. I hope that people actually do their due diligence in their research, you know, because like you have the slides that are talking about the founding mothers and, you know, things like that. I hope that people do their research and that the legacy is carried on and that it's not a one-time thing where it's like, oh, we're going to praise them now and then forget about them again. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited that people are so excited about it. People have put their blood, sweat, and tears. And there was one point where people used to make fun of us in ballroom, and they would say things like, you can't put it on a resume. And, you know, they were, oh, really, an icon for what? So to the point where I would downplay ballroom, you know, with other people because it was an insecurity that started because it was like, what are you really accomplishing? Because everybody else was like, you're not really, you know, people on the outside, there were people who revered you on the inside. And until I started getting in other rooms outside of ballroom and they were like the icon. And I was like, you're talking about me? And then I had to start taking that back to the community and I had to start letting them know that you are somebody and people are watching you. I always make reference to Octavia saying that she wanted to, Octavia St. Laurent saying that she wanted to be a household name. And now she is, you know. Unfortunately, God rest the dead. she's gone, but she always wanted to be a household name. And now we're constantly talking about her and the people who came before her. And I'm glad that people like Junior, who is like a part of the founding people of ballroom, is able to get his flowers in such a broad, like to be on Broadway and to play a part of it. So it brings the authenticity to this. And so I'm just excited about it. I'm so happy about it. I'm glad that I'm here.
And there's a whole
it.
part of the musical that does that in a really powerful way, that people will see kind of the tribute that you're talking about. So, of course, we want this to run as long as it possibly can, and we want you to be on stage for as long as you want to in this role. But what are the other things that you are dreaming about that are now made even more possible by being Grizabella? Like, what are other things that are calling you?
I definitely want to go into TV, into film. I also have the directing bug. I mean, I'm just one of those type of people who constantly, I felt like there were so many talents that I didn't know what to hone into. Plus my ADHD gets crazy at times. So I feel like this has given me a platform to go into so many different realms. I was like co-producer on a show, Chasing Chastity, before, where there's on YouTube, and it's like the dating life of Chastity. And I want to expand on that and make that bigger. I think that my story is a lifetime story. I think Tyler Perry should hit me back up, because we have history, and I used to be like, we need to go ahead and make a movie about me. So I definitely want to go into, I think Broadway, 8 shows a week. I would like to do TV and film. So yeah, I definitely want to get into TV and film. I also want to do voiceovers. There's so many things that I want to do. I'm a dreamer, and I love to write things down and then cross them off and accomplish them. And so that's definitely what I'm doing now.
Well, I definitely want to see the story about your dating life. I know it is like a show. So I co-sign that idea. And now, I'm really hoping that you now have all the things, manager, agent, that are going to be a part of supporting you and realizing all of these dreams, because, you deserve your creative person, and your creativity should be seen in as many places as possible. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to talk to you, as now a Broadway star and also a ballroom icon. And just I'm so appreciative for your life and for your courage in being you.
Thank you. Thank you for this platform, for highlighting us. Thank you for all that you do with social justice and everything that you do, and just being who you are, because you are a possibility model for all of us.
Thank you so much. And, break a leg. We know that's like, the show must go on. How many shows do you do a week? 10 or 8?
We do 8 shows a week, but we do have a 10-week coming sometime in July. But yeah, we do an 8-show week. And I don't know why they haven't fought for it to be like 6.
Because money, that's why. Money. And people are beating down the door to go see y'all. So
yeah,
they have to make room for the people. Thank you so much, Tempress, for you and everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on the Translash podcast. Now listen all the way through to the end of the show for something extra. If you like what you heard, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to Translash Media so you never miss the episode, and hit the notification bell. And before we go, we like to end every episode with what our favorite moments are. And so my favorite moment of the episode, well, actually I had 2. One was when Qween Jean said that this award for her came out of love. I thought that was such a powerful thing to say. We don't think about the connection between, we think about it as personal achievement, I got this thing, but that actual source of it, the source of her work and everything that she's doing is love. And so for her, the award comes from love. I was super touched by that. I can't react like that on camera, but that's what I felt like. And also when Tempress said that when she stepped on the stage, it felt like home, that she was inhabiting a space where she had always dreamt about, that she felt that she had manifested the moment. These are just such powerful reminders for us to hold on to our imagination at a time that's not so great. What's your favorite moment? Leave it down in the comments and tell us what you think. We'll respond. And also, if you happen to know about Qween Jean's designs, what's your favorite design? Or if you've ever seen video or Tempress live ever do ball, what are some of the favorite moments that you've seen in that? Yeah, let us know. Keep the conversation going.